we are going to learn how to insert an element into the linked list at the last position. First, let's cover the algorithm. As we know, we have to implement in the C language. So, first step, we have to allocate the memory. So, malloc function is the standard library function available in C language to allocate the memory. Its main objective, as per the user requirement, allocate the memory. If successful, it returns the starting address. Otherwise, it returns null value. So first we have to check whether the memory allocation done or not. So step two, we have if it is not memory allocation is not done, then we have to exit. Otherwise, whatever address is written by the malloc function, we have to store a pointer. That pointer named as a, for example, it is new node. Then we have to store the data value inside the newly created node, and we have to make the next point of newly created node as a null. Reason is that the newly created node is going to be the last node of the linked list. So anyhow, the last node of the linked list always points to the null value. Then we have to check whether the linked list is empty or not. So if the linked list is empty, then we have to make the newly created node as a start node as well as the last node. Before that, the start node as well as the last node become the null value. So after the newly created node, both the last pointer as well as the start pointer point to the first node, that is the newly created node. Otherwise, we have to make the last node next pointer to store the value of address of newly created node, so that the connection established to the newly created node and the and make the last pointer to the last node, because one node is added, so we have to make the last pointer to the newly created node. So first we have to know there are two pointer, as I have already told. First pointer is the start, last pointer is the last. Start store the null value initialization, last also initialization, both the pointer release. Start pointer is point to the first node of the linked list, last pointer is used to point to the last node of the linked list. So whenever we are going to insert an element, first we have to check whether memory allocation is possible or not. If the memory allocation is possible, then we have to think whether the linked list is empty or not. So for example, in our cases, we want to allocate the memory and memory is done successfully. So first case we have to think that is the empty linked list. For example, starting is our empty linked list. So if our linked list is empty, so this is the case of empty linked list. So first case is the empty. If linked list is empty, then we have to create the node, and the node address we have to store in the new node. So this is the new node. This is the 100. For example, memory allocation is 100. Then what happened? If the memory allocation is successful, then we have to store the value. Then we have to point to the next pointer to the null. Reason is that it is the last node. So anyhow, it is empty or element is present. Anyhow, the last node always point to the null. So we have to store the null. Then we have to check for empty linked list, start equal to null, last equal to null. Then what we have to do? We have to simple make the start equal to new node, last equal to new node. So now this is 100, this is 100. So now what happened? Newly created node is inserted into the first position. So if we want to this one, what we have to do? We have to just make the little bit changes. First we have to make the new node equal to new node data we have to store the whatever value we enter. Then new node, next store the value of store the value of null. This is common for all the cases. Then we have to check whether linked list is empty or not. How to check? Start equal to last and start equal to null. If it is true, then what happened? Is an empty linked list. We are already stored the new value. So here only we have to make the start equal to last equal to new node. That's all for the case of empty linked list. So this is case for the empty linked list. Let's take the second case, that is our linked list is present, or three element is present, and we have to insert the value at the last location. So first what we have to do? First we have to create the node, then we have to store the data. For example, I want to insert the value is 90. So I have to insert the value. As the node is last node, anyhow the last node always point to the null. So we have to immediately insert the value null. Then what are the things we have to do? First we have to store the address of last node. So what is the address? For example, the address is 400. So 400 address, if we store at the last node next, then only it will make the connection. So what we have to do? Simple, we have to store the address of the newly created node. So what is the address? Address is 400. So if we store the 400, the connection is established. Once the connection is established, then we have to changes the last node, previous last node point to this node. Now we have to make the connection of the last node to the newly created node. These two steps we have to follow so that the connection is completed. So linked list now start pointer points to the first node, last node points to the last node. So what are the changes we have to write down? Simple, we have to mention that last next equal to new node, then last equal to new node. We have to move the newly created node. This much we have to do the changes. After that, connection to the last node is done. So let's go back to the program. This is the last program we completed. Here we are all insert in the first position. This is our main program. This is structure node. Start and last we make as a null pointer. Then new node, temp, ptr. We just make three pointer in between our program we require. So this is the code we are already completed for the. So now we have to write down the code for the insert at the last of void. Same thing we require. This code are same, so we can copy this code. No need to write down the all the code multiple times. So this is integer now. Have to read the value, malloc the memory, and we have to check whether the memory allocation is done perfectly or not. So if it is no memory allocation, simple we have to make the exit. Else means memory allocation done, we have to insert the value. So as it is a last node, direct we have to store the data as well as the next pointer. So new node data is equal to num new node next last. Then we have to check if whether it is a empty or not. So if start equal to last, so this is for list empty. Then what we have to do? We have to make the newly created node as a start node as well as the last node. Is equal to else. So else we have to make the last node next equal to new node. Then we have to move the last to new node. So this is the code for insert into the last node. Then here we have to change the. So here we have in main we have to write down insert last. So this is the function call. We depend upon our requirements. We can call the function. For example, we call the function 5 times. Then it will be display the newly created. Let's compile the program. After that, we have to run the program. First element 10. second is 20, third is 30. So this is the output skill. So here insertion in the last position is done. So if the same code means the insert in the last position code, we can put in our menu drive program. The same program. Right now our case is three. We have to add three cases. Previous case one is for insert in the first position. Second one is the, so here I just copy the last code, then three option. Insert the first one part the starting, two is for the last node, then display. The same thing, switch case also. We have to write down the case to insert last, then break. All the thing remains same. So we have to compile and run the program. So enter your choice. So first we have to enter the last position. So enter choice is 2. Insert the value 10, 2. So we display the value 10, 20, 33. Let us understand the code thoroughly. So how the program is executed, as we are already know, to store the data, we require a node and we already defined the node. There are two pointer. First pointer is the start. Another pointer is the last. So first pointer store the address of start, that is the starting node address. Last pointer store the address of last node. Initially, the start and as well as the last store the null value. That is the case when there is no element present inside the linked list. It is called as the empty linked list. So initially there is no element present inside our link. So first time we run the program and we call the insert the last. At the time what happened? Body of the function is going to be executed. So first it will create a variable now. Enter the element. Then this line is going to be executed. This line asks us that enter an element. For example, we enter the value 10. After that, one memory allocation is done and it whatever the memory allocation are stored inside the new node. New node already we declare as a pointer that points to the node type of structure. So this is the node is created, one node is created. Node is created with two part. First one is the data, second one is the next. This is the pointer. So whatever address, for example, the newly created address is 100. So now new node point to the 100 because we store the new node as a 100 value. So it points to the this newly created node. Then we have to check if new node equal to null. New null is equal to null means memory allocation is not possible. But in our case, memory allocation is done. So it will go to the else part. So new node data equal to num. So this is the data. What is the num value? 10 is stored the value 10. New node next equal to null. If start equal to last and start equal to null. So first condition start equal to last, yes, it is true. If it is true, it will not go to the second one. Or it will go to the second one, that's the start equal to null. Yes, start equal to null. So linked list is our empty. So what is going to perform? Start equal to last equal to new node. So what is the new node value? 100. Now last store the value of 100, start store the value of 100. So after storing the value, start point to this node as well as the last point to this node. So this is our linked list is created. Then else part is not equal. So what happened now? Start store the address, last store the address. Only one element is present inside the linked list. That's why it is both the start as well as the last point to the newly created node. For example, we execute the code 1 second. So what happened? Again, the variable is declared. At the time, no value is present. So I'll ask the memory allocation. For example, memory allocation is done. The memory allocation is 200. For example, you store the two part. This is the data part. This is the next part. So it store which value? Node, new node. So new node store this value. So now new node this value onto this one. Then it will go to next line. If new null equal to null, no, else part. Then what happen? New node data store the num value. So the num value, for example, we enter the value that is 30. So we store the 30 value. Then new node next equal to null. New node next equal to this is the new node. New node store 200. So this is new node. Next is null. Then next line, if start equal to last. Yes, it is true. But our start 100, last 100. Start and start should be null. No, start is 100. So this is true. This is false. So anyhow, the resultant is false. If it is false, then it will go to the else part. In else part, last next. What is last? Last is 100. 100 next. This part. So 100 next is going to be store which value? This is the 100 next. So this is the 100 next is. So store which value? New node value. What is the new node value? New node value is 200. So it stores the value of 200. So once it stores means immediately connection to this node. Then last node equal to new node. After insertion, we have to make this node as a last node. So now it store the 200. So now connection to this line. So previous connection is gone. So this is the way our insertion in the last position is going to be done. Hope you are able to understand all the topics just we cover in this video. Thanks for watching the video. Please share and subscribe the channel more and more. Thank you.